Rising tensions again on the streets of St. Louis. Demonstrators and protesters last night clashed with police officers hours after the shooting of an armed black man. Police arrested 9 people. They deployed tear gas to break up the violent protesters. Some 150 people were demonstrating against the police killing of an armed 18-year-old who authorities say pointed his gun at them as they tried to serve a search warrant. Our next guest says St. Louis has simply collapsed. There is a lesson, he says, to be learned from this latest police shooting. When you point a gun at a police officer, expect to be fired upon in self-defense. Joining us tonight is Milwaukee County Sheriff David Clarke. Sheriff, good to have you with us.
Thank you.
This seems to be a routine that just keeps replaying itself. And St. Louis, that state, actually Missouri, it's getting worse. Urban centers across the country are getting worse. What is going on?
All across America, in these major urban centers, the social order has collapsed. What I mean by that, there aren't the informal social controls that keep this kind of behavior in check. Look, these riots started almost tribal behavior. A guy shoots or points a firearm at a police officer. Sooner or later, they're going to get the point in the United States of America. You cannot, you will not, you shall not point a gun at an American law enforcement officer, or I expect the result to be what we saw last night, unfortunately. But this is the state that we're in right now, and then 150 people get together and get behind without knowing the facts. That's why I said it's tribal in nature. They don't know the facts. They come to the aid and the rally of some criminal who points a firearm at a police officer. And then we had a 9-year-old girl shot inside a home, and you did not see that sort of outrage. Nobody went to visit that grandmother who held that dying baby in her arms.
How do you explain that? How do you explain that?
Well, that's why I said the social order has collapsed, and you don't have the informal social controls, like I said, like functioning families, like functioning neighborhoods. People are just reacting to circumstances.
And you know, and the question is automatic. Where in the world is this president? Why is he talking about de-escalating police tactics rather than talking about trying to lead those communities out of the wilderness in which they find themselves?
Well, think about it, Lou. You're right, and that's contributed to it as well. You're not seeing the self-initiated policing, although they were sent to serve a search warrant. You need assertive policing more than ever in these communities to keep good law-abiding black people alive. But cops are hesitating right now because of this constant bashing of the American law enforcement officer for no reason at all by anti-cop forces. The president has chimed in on it. The former attorney general has chimed in on it as well, Eric Holder, and it's having a devastating effect. These communities, the American ghetto needs policing more than ever right now. And until the constant bad stops, I think you're going to continue to see these crime rates rise. I predicted this last April, Lou.
And you know, we also discussed the polling numbers. The members of these communities that so desperately need policing want more policing, or they want the same level, not less. And we're hearing from activists from the Obama administration to actually suggest to recede. And a number of the protesters there said, you know, one of them thoughtfully was saying, you know, we need a different kind of policing for our community. How do you respond to that?
Well, what he should have said is we need police to get back to becoming more assertive in what they do. Look, there are processes if people are having problems with a certain police agency in a certain community, and you have to believe in those processes, and you have to allow those processes to work and help you work through those problems. To ask for the police to back off or these no-go spaces, I mean, these are mindless. And the thing that bothers me the most is the overwhelming majority of good law-abiding black people that live in these communities are going to suffer the most. You know, there's a manhunt on now for the guy that fired a handgun into an occupied house.
Yeah.
I mean, that is unthinkable. Who's leading that manhunt? Probably mainly white police officers. I don't see this whole black, I call it the Black Lies, L-I-E-S, matter movement helping the police to corral this individual. Instead, they come to rally for a armed criminal.
Incredible. Sheriff, it's always good to see you. We appreciate you being here.
My pleasure, Lou.
Sheriff David Clarke.